recording an episode on actual Wednesday when we release our episode, so that's good.
Yeah.
I was listening to our podcast.
You can say that. I liked it.
And it was like, it's Friday. And I'm like, no, it's not Friday. So at the time we're recording this, it's Wednesday.
Yeah. I wish it was Friday.
I do
It's so
too.
close.
I do too. It's been
so far
a
away.
long week.
I know.
I like, why do I feel exhausted? But
yeah. I think it's a combination of like the weather, the time of year for me, for sure.
Yeah. Do you know what we did this weekend? Because someone asked me what I did over the weekend today, and I was like,
literally, what did
we go
do?
surfing? Was that on
Yeah,
Sunday? Okay, we went, started a girl surf club. What else? I literally don't.
What did we
Did
do?
I go to that birthday
I
party?
worked.
Yeah, I went to that birthday party, and you worked. And I felt
Wow.
very aimless without you.
Me too. That's literally how I feel.
I literally surprised Ellie at work. I was like, hey, what are you doing? What do you feel like doing?
My face, I could feel my face change when I saw you because I was like looking and I was like, all like, I wasn't mad, but I just was here and I saw it and I was like,
yay! Friendship.
So happy. It was I feel like I need a few relaxing weekends.
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing
Going hard.
Yeah, laying low.
That was good. And then Monday was like a crazy rainstorm, which I really liked. I feel like it's been like cozy, which I think that's why I feel like tired. Like I just want to like curl up and watch a movie and
not do
anything.
Yeah.
But Monday we had a offsite for work, so I really didn't work that day, and everyone was in town, and it was good. But it's a lot of like team bonding, which can be really draining. And then I had a ton of meetings yesterday because everyone was in town. I still am like trying to figure out my role, but I have a meeting about that tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes.
With your boss?
With my boss and then the other guy.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Ew. Good luck.
I'm not prepared. I have blocked off my calendar in the morning to like put stuff together. It's just interesting. Like, it's a very different experience than what I just came from in like a good way, but also in like I feel very aimless and I feel like a fish out of water or whatever the term is of like, I was very comfortable because I knew what I was doing before.
Oh, yeah. Or you built it.
Yeah, exactly. Or like
I was in
built
control of everything I did before because it was new.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I could control everything, where now everything's already built. And I just like walk in and I'm like, what the fuck do you want me to do? I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's hard to complain about it because it's like the organization itself or the company itself is better than the previous one.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like,
yeah. Also, before you came home today, I was watching this documentary called
Killing Sally or
I can't believe that was like a fever dream.
Killer Sally. That was. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a second. What were you doing before I came home? What did you do? A documentary about what?
It was about like this company called like One Taste or something. That was like this orgasmic meditation.
What?
Company?
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, but then it turned into like this cult.
Oh, of course. Of course it did. Cool.
And there was like, a lot of like messed up stuff happening. And it was just wild to see the start of it because it started in like 2005, I think, is what it was saying. And then like very recently, like in 2018, I think is when this Bloomberg article or some news article came out about like all these trauma stories that people had. And
oh my God, that's insane.
Yeah, you should watch it.
I should. I love stuff like that. Not that I love stuff like that, but I'm saying like undercover for such a long time. Like that one Christian group or whatever. I'm not even, I can't.
Fundamentalist Mormons?
No.
Because that documentary was crazy.
Ugh. Don't even
But
know.
Killer Sally,
Killer Sally itself
was that
was
this
insane.
weekend?
It must have been.
That was
What were we doing?
Saturday.
No, that was Friday after
Oh.
we recorded our episode.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
So we got drunk after sharing all of our sex secrets. You're welcome. Please email us your thoughts. We watched I don't even know how we even got there. We just didn't know what to watch, and then all of a sudden,
I opened Netflix and that was the first thing on there, and we're
and
like, that
you know,
looks
when you
good.
open up Netflix and like the trailer just starts automatically playing, and you just, I don't know, you can't help but sit and watch it and see what it's about, and so it looked really interesting, so we clicked it. I didn't realize it was it was a series.
Yeah.
That made it a little bit harder, and like it just got weirder and weirder and weirder the more we watched.
But
It was like
watched
he
2
was the
hours
bad guy.
of it.
I know that's yeah. And there's one more. We didn't even finish it. There's one more. We still don't know how it ends or whatever. But like, it started with him the bad guy, and then now she's the bad guy, and then now like the friend's the bad guy. I'm like, wow, what a roller coaster.
Yeah, and they're like,
I honestly feel bad for her though.
well, I don't know.
The whole
what I feel.
I don't know what they both, I don't know.
They're both like bodybuilders, which I feel like that is just another world that I just don't understand or know about. No judgment. It's just like very different than anything I'm familiar with. And then like they're talking about these like kinks that people have where they like men will pay to be wrestled by like really strong like bodybuilder women. And that's like gets them off. Like it's not like penetrative sex. It's just like they're being wrestled.
Literally. And then it ends.
And then that's the end.
Anyway, she shot her husband, and they
Spoiler.
were. Oh shit! Yeah, sorry.
Well, I mean, I guess it's
I don't
called
know.
Killer Sally.
Yeah,
So.
not killing Sally. Yeah, I don't even know. Whatever. That was fucking weird. I told you this. My sisters crack me up, but when I was talking to one of my sisters about watching the show, I was saying about how they were on steroids and or I said, like, I used the phrase, they're shooting steroids.
Oh my
And
God.
then she was like, well, what's it about? And I said, it's about, she shoots her husband. And she was like, oh, but is he shooting her too? And I was like, no, she's just shooting him. And she's like, no, but like, how is she getting the steroids? And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, are they shooting each other with steroids? And I was like, no, she shot him in the face. And I'm
With
like,
a gun.
with a gun. And I'm outside walking the dogs, trying to explain this situation. Anyway, that's just all I remember about Killing Sally now. Killer Sally, whatever the fuck this thing is called. And that was our Friday night.
That was our Friday. And then I'm going to Boise this weekend.
I know, I'm so
and
excited
you
for you.
are having a party, you
I
said.
am. Solo party.
Painting. What did you say you wanted to
Movies. That was my
do?
list.
Painting, movies, and wine.
Yeah, and wine. Yeah.
Well, in the spirit of the season of thanks and spirit of gratitude,
Really sell it.
we wanted to talk about friendship because friendship is what brought us here. I feel like there's so much to be thankful for in terms of the friendships that I have in my life and like shaping who I am today and kind of how I've come to grow and be who I am is through a lot of my friendships, the good and the bad.
Yeah, I think this is the perfect time with the weather like this and just kind of with the, I don't know, week being hectic and life being hectic. Just kind of pausing for a minute, especially before the season comes up when you feel like you're obligated to say like all these things that you're thankful for. I think just talking about friendship and the little things that we have that keep us going.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some qualities or traits that you admire in your friends?
I think, thinking about like my friendships in my life, I have always like struggled with friendship just because of like constantly moving around. But I think, and like, as a kid, when you're constantly moving around and so many things are changing and you're going through so many things, you don't really know what to look for in a friend. But growing up and having so many people that I've met and then the handful of people that I consider like really close friends, I would say like compassion and patience as well as like communication. And I think that's one thing, like those three things put together is something that I always try to put into a relationship, but it's something that is important to me when it comes to like friendships.
Mm-hmm.
And I think communication looks very different. Like, for instance, take our relationship. Like, when we didn't live together or live in the same state, our communication was very, very like limited, but I
Mm-hmm.
always felt like in communication with you because when I was able to talk to you, it wasn't like so much time. It wasn't this like awkward chit chat. Like
Yeah.
we were able to like dive right in and communicate and then have like a 2 hour conversation and be like, okay, I love you. Like life's busy, life's crazy. So whenever you have a chance to call me, and it would be like 6 months to a year.
I know.
And so like that seems silly, but I think like that kind of communication was just so strong. And same with like a lot of my
Mm-hmm.
other friends. Like we don't live together and we hardly talk, but when we do either meet up or get a chance to talk on the phone, like our communication has been so strong that we just pick up right where we left off.
Yeah. What were the other two that you said?
Patience and compassion. Compassion because I am just a very weird person and like weird
We all
friend.
are.
We all are, but like it's I don't know. Everybody has their like whatever it is that
Mm-hmm.
they're however they express themselves or what have you. And so I think just having compassion for whatever that person is going through
Yeah.
or how they act or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Those are good. I think for me, when I was thinking about traits, like what I really admire or appreciate in my friendships is this isn't a word, but I guess willingness to be like goofy, like that they don't take themselves too seriously. Like I need that because sometimes I will get so in my head about things, and just to be around people that like can let loose, can laugh at themselves, can like make jokes and be silly, that brings so much joy into my life and makes me
Yeah.
feel comfortable. And like I don't always have to be like on it, you know? Like if I say something stupid or weird, like you're like whatever.
You like play off of it. You say something
Yeah.
weird or dumb back or something. Yeah, no, I agree. I love
Yeah.
that.
And I think also maturity. Like I know those can maybe what I just said and maturity are conflicting, but maturity in the sense of like not being so petty or like having like argumentative about things. Like I don't every relationship has arguments or disagreements or what have you, but like maturity to communicate or maturity to disagree in like a respectful way or to appreciate people's differences and still like care about them. Obviously, friendships when you're younger can look a lot different than friendships when you're older. And so having people in my life that aren't still stuck in that quote unquote like high school mentality, like the petty girl gang stuff. The closest friends that I have in my life are like that, I would
Yeah.
say.
I'd also say like being straightforward. I feel in the sense of when I ask you like something or need advice or whatever, like you're gonna give it to me as straight as you can. I mean, still being kind and still having compassion, but just being like, don't beat around the bush or
Yeah.
because that's also like vulnerability too,
Mm-hmm.
because you're feeling comfortable to expose yourself to a friend. It's all like dependent. It's kind of funny looking back on our personality tests that we took and how kind of rethinking about just those kind of traits and what it is that I look for in a friendship. And a lot of the traits are things that I need in my life as well as things that I need to work on. So if I feel like my friend group is not providing me with compassion, then it's an opportunity for me to be like, oh, well, maybe I'm not being super compassionate. So I think those traits are just interesting to think about because it's always like, oh, check myself too.
How would you say your friendships now compare to like your friendships when you were younger? Or like this, obviously these traits that we're talking about, I feel like I have in friendships in my life right now, but would you say that that's what it was when you were younger too?
Like, what do you mean?
The friendships that you had, were you looking for people with compassion? Were you like aware enough of like people that
Back then, no. Well, I don't know. That's hard. I think I was looking for what I needed at the time everywhere I went. So sometimes it was like I really just want to meet as many people as I can. So the friends that I'm looking for, I'm not looking for like compassion. I'm just looking for more of like the goofiness and the silliness, or like the, like the, person that always likes to go out and do things. But I feel like now my thoughts and like looking for friends or friend groups, like I don't really recognize it until a few times, like of what it is that I like about that person. Cause sometimes I'll just be with someone that I had just met and I'm just like, I don't know, we like really get along. I really like this person. I really want to get to know them more. I think they'd be really fun to hang out. And there's just like something there that I can't even name. Whereas like sometimes like, friendships take time to grow. Like you may not like that person right away. So I think it just looks different depending on the person, as well as like what it is I'm looking for in life at that time.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good, because younger Erica, I feel like, was really immature with friendship.
I just met so many people that I knew that I would leave, that I had the ability just to be like, okay, well, since I'm only going to be here for 2 years, what is it that I want here?
Yeah.
Or like, change it around, because I was just like, well, it doesn't matter. I'm going to leave anyway. Just morbid, but kind of cool.
You had like a timeline on things, so you knew you only wanted to invest into like friendships that you wanted. I feel like I was very quick to cut people off or out of my life, like if they did one thing that I like thought was against my standards, or like I didn't agree with, or they upset me, so goodbye forever. Like I was like so quick to do that, and I feel like I found it hard to find meaningful relationships or friendships with people because of that, because it felt very like superficial. I think about even like in high school, which I talked about this before. I enjoyed high school, but I do think a lot of my friendships there were also like based on the people who I knew other people like thought they were popular or like really cool, so I wanted to be associated with them. And I feel like I was friendly with everyone, but I didn't really have really deep friendships, like meaningful relationships, because of that, except for like you and Megan.
I feel like, though, that's interesting that you bring that up, because I feel like I had some really good connections with people, even in high school, even with people like I only spoke. Like, it's funny because don't you think like in high school, like if we look back on your thumb drive and we have all of these random videos of like people that like, I mean, we follow them on Instagram, but there was a moment in time where I'd have some like, girl who was in my, like a Douglas that I don't even talk to now, like in my room doing like a whatever music video to something and like spilling everything too. So I feel like, I don't know, in high school it was so weird because I feel like people, like kids were in between like wanting to have like really deep and meaningful connections and like just talk about whatever it is they're going through with someone. But then as soon as you enter like the social scene, like whether it's like class or practice, you automatically like everybody turns into this shallow person. Like I was shallow, and if someone did something, everybody's so quick to cut others off. But I think like in front of everybody, but I think behind closed doors, like we were all just kind of like trying to find someone to talk to and have these like
to connect in some way.
In some way.
Like try and relate to someone else out there.
Even if it lasted like a second. It was like really beautiful connections that we had with those people. It's just hard because, you just become snobby. Like something happens, boys get involved, or, someone does better. You get pinned up against each other and you automatically want to cut somebody off. You don't want to be friends with them anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. The difficult things.
Yeah. It looks very different as an adult for sure. But it's interesting to look back and see how like friendships have shaped me and then how friendships are like changing me now.
Yeah.
Or not even change, just how they look now.
This might be too broad of a question, but like you say your friendships shape you. What is like the impact? Like if you could say the impact of the friendships that you've had in your life, how have they shaped you? Or what has been like the biggest takeaway?
I think like, I don't know. This may kind of sound like selfish, but I think the first thing that came to my mind is like healthy competition. In a sense of like, I'm looking for people who are intelligent and athletic and smart and have all of these things that I can like try and work and become like a better person. Because I feel like I feel more myself when I'm surrounded by those people. One thing I've learned growing up is like what my energy feels like when I'm around certain people.
Mm-hmm. What's that saying? It's like you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with or
Something
something.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very true.
So surrounding them with people like that, which again, it kind of sounds a little selfish, but what I mean by that is that's how I see myself change.
Mm-hmm. I definitely think I've become a more patient person. The more people I meet, the more relationships I've had, the more like, and relationships not in like dating, but just like like building relationships with people, building friendships, just having patience and understanding and not being so quick to like you said, to cut people out or end things with people. So thanks for all the people that taught me that lesson. Sorry if I cut you out prematurely.
Yeah. I also think too, and I think like a lot of people can agree, is friendships weave in and out and having those like small connections are just really important. I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
No, I think that's super important. Like a friendship doesn't have to mean
just like how it changes from like being a kid into like being an adult, where I mean like when I was a kid, I didn't care who I was friends with. Like I just wanted friends. I wanted to be surrounded by people because I felt like, okay, that's what matters. So like, you know, I was just constantly, and like I said before, like there were those, you know, people that we did have those deeper connections with, but I was so desperate for having friends, where I feel now as an adult, it's harder for me because I'm kind of like, well, I don't need a big group of people. So like my wanting to like go out and introduce myself to new people or build on maybe smaller friendships that aren't like as built as like say you and I's, like my wanting to do that is like low, because I'm like, I don't need it. And I don't want like, you know, a whole bunch of it. So I think that's kind of the struggle now, is to like actually purposely put in time to like build new good connections with friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a favorite memory or like moment from this year from friendships that you're most thankful for? Or the last few years?
From this year, I'd probably say Portland.
Which round?
Oh, the first, my birthday.
Oh.
Just because we hadn't seen each other.
Yeah.
And since, for what? Almost like a year and a half. No.
A long time. No, did we see each other at Christmas?
Yeah, not that Christmas though.
Yeah, so then it was
like a year and 2 months.
Yeah. And even when we saw each other at Christmas, it was like meet at Starbucks really quick.
Gotta
go back to the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had like barely even talked. So much has changed since then. It's insane. It's insane.
I know. Portland was really the catalyst, I think, for a lot of things this year, honestly. Got my first tattoo.
I know.
You got a tattoo?
I did.
We went out, hit the town.
Had that. Obviously, now I've had a little bit more of exciting nights in my life now that I'm like, you know, I go out all the time. But that night, after not being out since college, was like insane to me. I was like, it is 5:00 in the morning. What the actual fuck is happening? And then brunch at like 2:00 when we woke up.
Yeah.
I could not, the coffee spilled all. Remember when I pressed the French press and it was just like, blah. I'm like, oh my God. Oh man, that was insane. But aside from all of that, like fun stuff and the tattoo and all, like the concert and all that stuff, like I think that moment, like when we were reading in the park, I feel like, who does that?
That was so cute.
I know, like I don't want to get emotional, but like there's not a lot of people in my life that I can like fully just like do like shit I would do by myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's okay. Should I say like as an adult, you learn that like there are activities that you can do with other adults that aren't weird, that bring you guys together. And I don't know, it was just interesting. Not that I have not like gone reading, but like in school, it was like we were all in the library for like we literally just decided to go do that. And it was so like it was fucking freezing, but it was so
Mhm.
beautiful.
I don't think I've ever done that with anyone. Gone to the park and read.
And we just like it's just so it was we've talked about like our like how our relationship and our friendship has like grown and like different marks of each like our hike and all of that stuff. But I feel like Portland was like, okay, now we're actually adults. Like we're deciding to put time and energy and money into this friendship.
Mm-hmm.
How do we want to spend our time, and to be able just like to do something so like effortlessly, and then just be like, okay, yeah, like we don't even know how long we were there, just like all of a sudden we were like, hey, in about 5 minutes, are you ready to go? Yep. Okay, cool. And like that was it. It was just like, so we didn't talk, we talked about like what it is, whatever like cool thing we were reading about,
Yeah.
and then moved on and went about our day. Like I like that was great. I loved that.
Yeah. I forgot we did that.
I know.
But that's such a good memory.
Yeah.
I'm not crying.
What about you? What would you say when you think back of this year in terms of like friendship, what are moments that kind of stick out to you, and why?
I feel like I'm in my friendship era, if you will. Like
I
I
love it.
feel like this summer honestly has been the closest I felt to a lot of friends in my life, and friends that I like had in college that I'm like rekindling that relationship with, just because I'm like investing time and feeling like, I mean, there's so much I could unpack with that, but like not being hesitant to reach out when I'm thinking of someone, or like even just like those little moments, which like there's so many bad parts of social media, but one thing that's great about it is like when you see something, you can acknowledge it. Like when you see someone else doing something, like acknowledging that for them, and like being like, I'm so happy for you, or this looks awesome, or what have you. And like even those few messages, I feel like just lets them know that you still appreciate them and like
100%.
care about them. And so to pick one is really hard. Like I said, Portland is a catalyst for me. And obviously there was a lot. This year has been like, what were you talking about with Kirsten? The peaks and valleys or what have you? Like,
shout out here. I love it.
I don't know where. I still think I'm on like the precipice of a peak, but I have been working up and up and up. And I feel like, okay, I don't want to say the parties have been the most memorable, but I feel like it's been an example to me of how good the friends are in my life when I am out of my mind, and like people are looking out for me and care and like checking in. And it's silly, but I feel like those memories, like super fun nights, but then those little things on top of it is just like, wow, I'm so thankful for the people that I have that are looking out for me.
Yeah.
Like you with your headache when I'm wilding out at the birthday party. And you're still like talking to Catherine, making sure you guys are checking in.
I love that night. Besides my headache. God, that was miserable. But yeah, I totally agree. It's hard to pinpoint one from this year, but I agree. Like it has been a year for friends and friendships. Again, a lot to unpack, but it seems to be just a theme in my life is like putting time and energy where it like deserves to be put. And right now that just seems to be friends, because I'm getting out what I'm putting in, and I'm realizing like, okay, I can't walk. I don't want to be alone forever.
Yeah.
And like friends are, are there if you allow them to be. And so creating that space and allowing like to be like a better friend. But I feel like I have so much to learn and change. And I feel like that's been also like a somewhat of a pro for this year in terms of like friendship, is because I'm like, wow, there's a lot more that I could be doing. How can I start doing that, making those changes as well? Because so many good things have happened. Like I do want to do more trips and meet people and all that stuff. As we were kind of talking about like friendships and stuff, I, you had said something about like favorite like quotes about friendship or like what other things like make you think of friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this one quote when I was in college. I don't know where it came from, but I saw it once. I'm pretty sure I posted it on my Instagram. But it was a moment where I had, some of my friends in college who were helping me go through like whatever was going on in my life. And I saw it and I just thought it was like a perfect, funny thing about friendship. And it's like friendship is like peeing your pants. Everyone can see it, but only you can feel the warmth.
Oh God.
And it's like so stupid and silly and such like a third grader thing to say. That's probably why I said it. But I was like, oh my gosh, that's so true. Because like you look around and I see little friendships everywhere, but it's like only I can feel like the beauty of my own. And like only you can feel like the beauty of your own. And so I just like, I loved that little quote.
It's a good visual too.
It is a very good visual. I am a visual learner, so that's probably why I liked it. I was like, oh, boom. My quote, my friendship quote.
It's true though. I think that ties into, because yeah, we were talking about like quotes and things, and I was really pondering this, and the one that I think has shaped how I've been able to build more meaningful friendships is not necessarily been calling out friendships explicitly, but good old Teddy Roosevelt said, "Comparison is the thief of joy." And I feel like why oftentimes when I was younger, I didn't have the best luck or the best, most meaningful friendships is because of comparison and because of like either me thinking I'm like better than someone or I'm like, I am insecure. So, and when I'm comparing me to this other person, like I don't want to feel insecure. So I'm not even going to have a relationship or a friendship with you.
Mhm.
Like, I think that when you're talking about like, only you can feel the warmth. If you look, some friendships might look like they're really great, but you don't actually know how meaningful that relationship is. And I think only you, like you said, can feel that. I'm only thinking about pee right now, but
Sorry.
no, it's good. I'm tying them together because I think it's so true, and like being genuinely happy for people and their successes, and genuinely like wanting to support people, and like really like I feel like I only am coming from a place of actual love and compassion because that's the only way to be happy. Like comparison is the thief of joy is so true, and I don't want to be miserable, so
Yeah.
I'd rather like cheer on my friends and their successes and support them and be patient
100%.
and all of that.
That kind of leads in, like, I bet this is the answer to your question, but what advice or like what things would you say to your younger self about friendship?
I, I mean, aside from that quote directly, I feel like
Literally, directly.
I feel like also not waiting for someone else to put in the effort. Like why is it always a comparison game in terms of like I put in this much effort so now it's your turn. Like the ball's in your court, so if you don't reach out to me then that means you don't care and we're not friends. And like even the few episodes ago, I can't even remember, when we're talking about burnout and just like you have no idea what else is happening in someone's life,
yeah.
and like maybe why they didn't reach out, or maybe they're feeling the same way about you, and just like if I could just tell my younger self or tell anyone else who's younger or older or what have you wanting to like find better friendships is like don't wait. Like, and I'm learning this in therapy too, just even in like relationships in terms of like with a partner or significant other, is like if you're always waiting for them to match your effort, you're never going to be happy. If you're always like, well, I know how much I put in and you didn't match me where I think that, or what I think that looks like, it's never going to be successful. And I don't know if this was a movie or a quote I was reading in a book or what it was from, but it was basically like match each other like 90-90 or 100-100 or whatever. It's like, don't go 50-50. Why is that like go above and beyond, and they go above and beyond. And what have you. And sometimes above and beyond looks very differently depending on everything else that's happening. So that was a very long-winded answer, but I feel like
I
that
agree.
is a lesson I'm learning. And who knows if younger Erica thought she knew everything or she had to figure it all out herself. So I'm doing it. I'm figuring it out. If someone told me, I don't know if I would have listened, but what about you?
No, I think all of those points are really good. The only thing I would add is like for me specifically is making friendships a priority. I think, I don't know, friendships for me are so weird because I've had so many, but I feel like now there's only like a few close. And it sucks. I think that has a lot to do with the fact that like I've cut people off. I'm really good at burning bridges. Like as soon as I move, like if we're not on, well, back then there was not really any social media. I mean, there was, I wasn't on it. But like I just cut people off, or I just am like, well, we were close, but I don't really have time. But I don't make them a priority. And I think that's because of how I grew up. So I feel like if I could go back, like, yeah, comparison and all those things, which I think sometimes like you kind of have to learn.
Yeah.
But if I could tell myself like one thing that I think I could do as a kid, or like what I would tell other kids when I tell my kids like that I work with and like all this stuff, is I would say like make it a priority, because I feel like one, I was boy crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Insane. Like I would
literally
make,
since I was like 5.
Literally. Like I would tailor every little aspect of my life around boys and not one thing about friendship. Like it was never a priority. And so now I feel like it's not a priority because it wasn't in my mind. And like even looking back at my parents, like my dad did not, I mean, like he had his like military buddies. Like my mom, we were moving all the time. So like we had like, you know, her childhood friends that she grew up with that she would just talk over the phone, and like the wives. But it wasn't like, you know, when growing up you have those people that are just like, oh yeah, it was my mom's mom, they grew up together and like blah 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 blah, they all go out for coffee every Tuesday, and it's been that way for 30 years. Like I've never seen that. I don't know if I want that, but I feel like just making it more of a priority is just what I would say to myself.
Yeah. The boy crazy piece is huge.
It's ruined a lot of friendships.
I feel like it's not allowed me to make friendships, or I've been like, I'm like prioritizing friendships with boys.
Oh yeah,
that it's
which
like,
is what? What is that? Do we want that?
Like having, please correct me. Is it same sex, same gender, same? What is the right way? Like having other women.
Yeah,
friends?
Yeah, like people who
that
identify
the same as me.
Yeah,
like having those relationships, oh my gosh, they're the best. And like, why did I not care about them? Why did I not prioritize them? I don't want this to turn into some regret episode, because it's not at all. But like, yeah, that definitely impacted friendships, boys.
Well, I think that's a good point to bring up though, is like, especially as we're going into the holidays, like, and it's something I'm saying it because it's something I need to remember, because I'm not good at it. Is like when I'm thinking back of all the things I'm grateful for, thankful for, I start thinking about the past. And then when I think about the past, I think about regret. So I think it's just like, sometimes it's important to like look back and think like it's all retrospective. Like it happened. I can't do anything about it. I'm very grateful, and turning it into like more of a positive light, because like,
lesson.
If I have not been boy crazy and done all of these things, I wouldn't be where I am today. And like I said, like, yeah, I don't have regrets, and yeah, I would tell myself to make it more of a priority. But now now I know what I know, and this is what I can do now.
Yeah.
But yeah, fucking boys.
Yeah. To all the men listening.
I feel like it's just so, and it's every kid. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. I see it. The kids that I work with, like they're, you know, that 3rd through 5th grade. I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, if only you
know.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
You have to learn through it. What is that quote? You have to grow through what you go through.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
So we're just
all
pulling out
boom,
the quotes.
quote.
No, it's a good one. It's very true. Yeah. It's very true. So we talked about favorite memory. What about like just in general, even you kind of brought this up with Portland about like there's some things that you really enjoy doing by yourself or like it's kind of your own thing, but what do you like to do with your friends? What do you enjoy doing with friends? What's like, or something that you're starting to do with friends that you enjoy doing?
I think like outdoor activities, meaning like, I don't know, when we go surfing and stuff, that kind of stuff is so much fun because you can still be by yourself
Yeah.
and not actually having to engage like the entire time, but you're like still with people who are cheering you on. Honestly, yeah, outdoor stuff, but honestly, I would just say like I don't care what we do as long as like the energy within the group is, you know what I mean? And sometimes like that's something that I have to keep in mind of like what kind of energy am I bringing into wherever it is I'm going through. But like literally we could be doing anything like out to eat, literally dancing in a club, at a loud bar, going outdoor, like doing coffee, reading a book, all these things. Like it's what you bring to it. And I like doing anything and trying new things with friends, meaning like, I don't know, we don't really know, like I'd go get my nails done, but that was the first time that I did like a humongous group of ladies getting their nails done. I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many of us. But and I just called ours ladies. I knew you were gonna say like I gotta say it now before Erica does because it's gonna come up. It'll come up like
90
next
years
episode.
old at the nail salon.
That's how I felt. I was like, oh my gosh. But like things that I would normally do by myself that sometimes I'd be like, you know what, I would rather do by myself, kind of stopping and being like, well, let me give this a try with some friends. And like you said, I think you said this before, either in the burnout episode or I don't remember when, I'm getting confused now, but when you said like, ask, like just ask, pick up the phone and ask, like that's one thing that I want to that I'm trying to do, or if people do have the courage to say like, hey, I'm going out to go do this, responding and going out and trying that thing, because yeah, I like to do things by myself, but every once in a while it's nice to do it with others.
I am working on that as well. I feel like I am really fine being by myself. Like I'm really comfortable with it. I like especially I think a lot of people during COVID just kind of got used to it, even if it wasn't like ideal, but like traveling by myself, living by myself, all of these things, I feel like it can almost be like a crutch. What is a crutch?
Crutch, yeah.
But even just the other week, when I was thinking like I was running errands by myself, and then I was like, I really don't want to cook dinner. I'll just like order takeout. But I was like, it sounds really nice to sit in the restaurant. Like I'd rather not order ramen to go. And then I was like, why is this like a battle in my head? Just like pick up the phone and call someone and see if they want to come with you. And then they did. And then I was like, wow, that was so pleasant. So yeah, asking, you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
And make good memories, more deepen your friendships. And I'm thankful.
And being honest, like that's one thing that I'm trying to work on is like, in that instance, like I would have just wanted dinner. I don't want to do anything after. I don't want it to be an hour long. I just want it to be like 30 minutes. I don't really want to be myself. I want to catch up, blah, blah, blah. And like just being honest, like when you pick up the phone, state what you need. Like, hey, I'm here. You know what I mean? And allowing yourself that space to be vulnerable so that the other person can be like, yeah, that sounds great. I need that or whatever. It's a lot of learning, growing, but I'm grateful for it because it's giving me an opportunity to learn more about myself.
This episode is really turning into like a therapy session for us.
Oh my gosh, I know. I feel like it's way. Exactly. It's just like, I don't know, especially during the holidays, like everything is like turned towards family, but there's another quote that's like friends are the family that you choose.
Wow.
I know. You're welcome. The quotes are in. But it's true. Like, I want friends. It's not much as a priority in my life as it was when I was a kid, but I know it's one thing that makes me happy. So what is it that I'm going to do in order to have and sustain those relationships? Because I'm choosing those people.
I think the difference between then and now is like then was quantity and now is quality.
For sure.
I don't need to have 10 million friends. I just want to have like really good people, really good relationships in my life with the people in my life. Um, with all the quotes you're pulling out, I've been thinking about my Pinterest board from when I was a youth.
I love my Pinterest so much. It's unreal. It's my life, honestly.
Still?
Oh yeah. I keep my Pinterest up to date. I
Wow.
love it. I have looked back. I've tried to reorganize. I know you're about to tell your thing, but I've tried to reorganize my Pinterest board, and sometimes I can't even go back that far because I'm just like, I
That's
had
what
a
I was gonna
whole
do.
wedding dress.
Oh my gosh! Don't even get me
Board. I
started
had
on the
a
wedding.
wedding. I had my sister's weddings planned out.
What?
Isabella's wedding planned out. I'm like, oh my God. I deleted those. I was like, what is this? I hate this. This is horrible.
Honestly, I should just delete all of mine because I don't. I really go on there. The only time I go on there now is like when I'm gonna get my hair done, and then I like look at haircuts. But I was thinking about quotes because I went and looked back at like my quote board, and some of them I'm like, why was I like, why did this resonate with me so much? Like these quotes that are just so cheesy that I like
Yes.
would cry over. I'm like, this is my life.
Do you
like,
have any?
like relationship quotes that I know were about like some stupid boy in high school that I'm like, there's no way our relationship was that deep that I like that this quote was even real.
That is so funny. And we were talking about this before. It was one of the questions that I had for our first episode, but I decided not to include it. But it was like, what did your room look like when you were a kid? And my childhood room looked like my Pinterest board. That was like when Pinterest was still a part of Facebook. And it was, do you remember that?
No.
Oh my gosh. That was the same time. I don't remember. Anyway, I would go on Pinterest and I would print out these quotes that you're talking about, and I would tape them in the corner of my room with those like Johnny Depp posters that I had.
You had like a Fall Out Boy one, didn't you?
I did. I'm sure, because you know me and my Fall Out Boy. I'm just gonna read some of these that I have. I'm gonna try to scroll
Scroll all the way
as
down.
far as I can down and see like which ones. I can already see there are some that I'm just like, what?
The wedding board, I'm so glad you mentioned that too. That kills me. Like, I feel like wedding or getting married, I don't even know that I like really wanted it. I think it was just like shoved down your throat of like, this is what you do.
I know.
And I look at like the dress and like the things that I pinned. I'm like, I wouldn't want any of this. Like big poofy princess dresses. Can you imagine?
No.
That is literally not me at all.
I can't even picture myself wearing a white dress, like a long. I can't. Okay, what gets me about weddings is like, you're in front of all these people and you're like waltzing down an aisle, and then you turn and you're. I was just like, I don't know. It's beautiful. I love weddings. I went to my first wedding this summer and it was beautiful. But like for me, I'd be like, oh no, I can't do that. Okay, let me just. Okay, the best feeling in the world is when the person you likes you back. Literally wheezing.
The best feeling in the whole world. Yeah, that is a good feeling.
When a girl is in love, you can see it in her smile. When a guy is in love, you can see it in his eyes.
Oh no.
Be kind. Okay. Wow, that's original. I love you so.
You can tell we were boy crazy if these are the quotes you're pinning.
Like, I just don't understand. Some Harry Potter quotes mixed in there, of course. You create your own opportunities. It's just so, like, I can't even.
Well, and like the styling of them too. Like in like Curls MT font on like some weird ripped paper background that's not an actual ripped paper. It's like it's just so.
Some people create their own storms, then get upset when it rains. It's like, it's cute. I get it. But then I look back and I'm like, what was I going through? Like, why? Why is this necessary? It's just like so deep and like, for what?
I know. They got a lot of emotions.
It's too many bitches get shit done. That's one of my first pins. Well, we can see that the attitude has not changed.
Yeah.
My God.
Do you remember when we made the Kiss My Sass shirt?
That was you and Megan, yeah. Loki.
I know. It was because we were in screen printing together.
I know.
But Yeah.
Kiss my sass. That that you guys were both wearing. That's that picture of us
Your
on my
last
last
day.
day. Yeah, that was a hard day.
I know.
Talk about friendship.
That was sad.
Yeah,
Look at us now.
I know, insane. But yeah, Pinterest crazy, boy crazy. But I think just to like kind of end things on not a Pinterest or boy crazy note, just kind of wrapping everything up as well as like, what we're grateful for with friendships as well as moving forward. And we kind of talked about this before about this like New Year's resolution and how that's kind of stupid. And like, if you want to change something, why not change it now? Or if you want to work on something, why not start now? So as this holiday season is upon us and starting earlier because you can start whenever, like what are some things that you are wanting to work on in your own friendships? And then in general, what are some things that like make a good friend to you?
Well, just thinking about like attributes that my friends have that I could do better at, or like that I do want to work on. Like I already mentioned, I'm working on like actually reaching out more when I'm thinking of someone. But these small things of like people who actually know people's birthdays. Like it takes me what 2 seconds to add that to my phone. And some people are so good at that. And when I was on Facebook, I used to wish everyone happy birthday because it would tell me. But now that I don't go on there, I think those are like such little things that like, yeah, some people are like, whatever, it was my birthday, they don't care. But I feel like anytime you can like celebrate someone or just acknowledge their presence in your life, like
Mm-hmm.
that is something I want to do better at. Or like when I find out someone's birthday, actually taking the extra time to write it down so I can. I think sending little notes or writing, like we did this actually. We wrote letters to each other for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
and I loved that. I people like those small things, getting mail actually in the mailbox. It's not like an ad or a bill.
I love writing letters.
Those are such, yeah, I think those are some things I want to bring back into my life that I feel like I was good at and kind of slipped on. And what makes a good friend? I feel like a lot of things. I feel like empathy. Um, it's very similar to being in a like intimate relationship with someone in the way of like communicating, recognizing that they're not going to be the same as you, act the same as you, have the same like thinking and background as you, and appreciating that for its beauty and all that it brings. And I think that's allowed me to just have a happier existence, is like all these different perspectives and things that people bring to the table has really filled my cup, if you will. My gratitude cup.
I love it.
What about you?
One thing that I just thought of is like, I'm so grateful for my friendships because a lot of my friendships are within my family, which kind of turns a little bit of an extra dynamic in there. So I'm always like thankful for them and like being able to communicate with them, but it's so easy because they are also my family. You kind of feel like obligated. So I think moving forward and like something that's been in the back of my mind is like how I'm communicating with the others in my life that aren't necessarily like a quote unquote obligation. Not that my sisters are an obligation, but it's like something we grew up together. It's like the only reason why I talk to them, is because like we have, I don't know, it's just a like that relationship that we have. And it's something that I really do struggle because a lot of the time, even within my within my sisters, I am not the one that's calling a lot. A lot of the other times it's somebody else that's calling everybody, including me. Like they call me in order to like talk to me. And so it's like, I don't really, like a lot of the friends aren't going to do that because if they're not getting anything out of it, why call back? You know what I mean? And so just working on communicating and reaching out. And like you said, like it's such a small thing to do to remember someone's birthday and write it down. Or if I see like a small success, even on social media, like I know what it's like when I get a message off someone from like college or high school, like San Clemente High School or Nevada High School, like any time that's like, congrats on this, or like love this, or looking great, or whatever it is. It's like, I love that. And I think sometimes it stops me from doing it on others because I'm like, oh, I don't want to be, I don't want to be weird, or I don't want to whatever. And so I feel like that's something that I can do because it's like, who cares? It's going to make them feel so good. Like sometimes I'm always looking like, of like, how is it going to look on me? It's like, stop being so selfish and thinking like being so like self-centered in your thinking and realize like just do it because it's the nice thing to do and you want to.
Yeah.
And you did have those relationship with those people. So communicating in that way, as well as just like getting out, like just do it. Sometimes I like feel so like like I'm just comfortable here, like I don't really know if I really want to do that. Just going and doing it, because 9 out of 10 times I would say, like almost 10 out of 10 times I would say it's like I'm like, oh fuck yeah, this is great, I'm glad I came out.
Yeah.
It's like 10 out of 10 times that always happens.
And then I feel like you're good about boundaries and like, hey, I'm ready to go, or like I'm done.
Yeah.
And knowing when is not like you want it to go back or do whatever because you're over. You're done.
It's just I know my social battery, and a lot of it has become learning how my energy affects people around me. It's like, and if I'm wanting to attract like intelligent, fun people, like I want to be intelligent and fun and like outgoing and funny and silly. But a lot of the times it's like, if my social battery is drained or like I'm exhausted, like to be able to fully show up and be like fully present in something like that they're doing fun. Like if it's like a girls' night and we're all talking and like you're socially excited and you want to talk about it, that's a different story. But I mean, like in social, hangouts or whatever, to be fully present. And sometimes like if my battery's already up, saying no, or like just realizing like, okay, I'm getting to my limit of what I'm able to contribute and I don't want to bring anybody down. It's just like how I'm feeling. So, and I don't want to, bring in the bad energy, you want to keep the party going, but I'm just going to take the party over here back home in bed. So I think that's like understanding that like boundary as well, just because I know myself.
Yeah, no, that's good. I guess I just want to say I'm very thankful for the people who are listening to this and for the friendships like ours and the friends that I have in my life and the people that have taken the time to like send messages about the podcast and like people have reached out. Like this has been, I feel like why I was really excited about this episode is because like this podcast has been an ignition to rekindling a lot of friendships in my life, or even just like having the courage or whatever to actually like reach back out to people. And so thanks to everyone who has supported, who has messaged, who has followed, who has subscribed, who has taking those few extra moments to support us in this endeavor that we're having a ton of fun doing, and listening to our rambling, and hopefully you learn something or laugh or what have you. But I'm so glad that we've done this and so thankful for the person I'm growing into because of the friendships that I have.
Yeah, and a lot of them are like a lot of our friendships that we've had since high school and middle school, and like to see those the way that you guys have grown as well. And like then you commenting that on us, like we're all like, it took a village to build us and we were all involved. And it was just like, I don't know, it's kind of beautiful. Like we all kind of went through a lot of the same things in our own way. And so the fact that you're listening and taking the time to like hear our perspective is just like, I don't know, like words. It's just beautiful. I love it. And I'm very grateful for it. And the ability to like meet new people through, our own friends, like grateful for you that you've introduced me to so many cool people here. Like it's crazy what happens when, we're nice to each other and we stop being, our high school selves. And I'm just so grateful for it. I really am.
Same. And if you want to keep the gratitude party alive,
keep it coming.
Follow us on social media.
Please.
Subscribe, rate, all the things. We're on YouTube now. We're starting to edit. Maybe they're not like the highest quality videos you've ever seen, but I don't think they're half bad.
And I mean, look at us. Come on. Put us up on your TV, on your laptop while you're doing laundry or cooking or something. Keep your kids entertained. We use the F word a lot. Yeah.
This is polite as fuck.
Polite as fuck. Email us too if you guys have anything that you want us to talk about or anything that you want to share. Let us know. Send us an email. politeasfckpodcast@gmail.com. You guys know it. Anyway, yeah, stay grateful this season, guys. I know it's kind of like a crazy time right now. A lot of things are going on. The weather's changing. It's super dark out. It's just crazy after a crazy summer. So just make sure that you guys are taking a step back. I know burnout episode just came out, so making sure that you're taking care of your mental health and self, whatever you want to say. Here comes the words. But also, being grateful to the people that are around you and saying I love you to everybody that you really love, including the friends, because they need to hear it too. And we love you guys.
We love you.
Always.
See you next week.
See you next week.